A tutaj jest błąd w grafice. Dobra, możemy przejść dalej. Otworzyliśmy sobie przejście, no niestety eksponat muzealny bezcenny został rozdupczony, jeden i drugi. I ja tutaj wcześniej nie byłem, niestety. Powinienem tutaj jednak przejść zamiast tam na dół. Tutaj stał taki kombinezon astronauty, który był zrobiony w Rosji i ci się kłócili, że to nie jest w Rosji, a teraz po zniszczeniu powiedzą, że to jednak było w Rosji.
Whatever used to be on this pedestal is now long gone.
You can still see the name tag. Petrovsky. Isn't that a Russian name?
I don't think so, Mr. Chekhov.
I sincerely doubt it, laddie.
Really? I would have sworn it was Russian.
A drugi raz?
Petrovsky. Isn't that a Russian name, Mr. Scott?
Absolutely, Captain.
Wait a minute, didn't I say that? I'm sure I said that.
Czyli jednak może być po zniszczeniu. Po prostu stał tutaj taki kombinezon, no niestety nie pokażę go już.
They're right next door, gentlemen. Caution is advised.
Czyli tam są. Nie tam.
I know, Captain. Look around, get to work. We have no time to talk. I didn't have anything in particular to say anyway.
But you said it quite succinctly, Ensign.
Jakbyśmy tam spróbowali przejść mimo wszystko, to by nas po prostu zabili.
It'll take me at least another hour, Captain.
Scotty?
Sorry, Captain, I thought you said something to me.
Czyli Scotty ma już przygotowaną odpowiedź, tak, do kapitana. Potrwa godzinę, potrwa 2 godziny i tak dalej.
I don't think McCoy would like this transporter, Captain. Even I would not want to use this one.
You? Not use a piece of equipment? Why not, Mr. Scott?
This little beastie put out a wee bit of energy discharge during transport. You've heard of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Of course, Mr. Scott.
Well, this is the Mulligan certainty field, guaranteed to do bad things to you even Dr. McCoy cannot fix. You can block the radiation, but she's not something I'd want to play with unless I absolutely had to. You'd have to repair the wires anyway. And the power unit's been pulled out too.
To jest transport. I można go naprawić. Transporter
The
właściwie.
plaque on the old machine reads, an early experimental transporter. The Murnane 8 was from a time before transporters were safe for travel by living beings. An old communications panel. On the plaque, this communication station was removed off the old freighter, Big Bear Running. When that ship was retired...
Skoro to jest stacja komunikacyjna, to być może uda nam się tego użyć, aby porozmawiać z Enterprise.
The plaque has been badly scoured by flying debris.
No niestety nie dowiemy się, co to było. A ty czego w
This is a
ten
bit
temat
beyond
powiesz?
me, Captain.
Nic.
Do you think Lieutenant O'Hara would object if we swapped this one for hers?
Ensign, I never took you for having a death wish.
Actually, Captain, this is not in bad shape. They took out the transmitter and it has no power, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Jednak wymontowali przekaźnik. No cóż. A ty, Scotty? Coś na ten temat powiesz?
No change, Captain. She's still short power and some sort of transmitter.
No cóż, niestety nie. Tak. Tutaj jeszcze leży coś takiego dziwnego. Co to może
Although
być?
badly scuffed, when it was blasted free of the sealing, the gas canister and nozzle look functional.
The curator mentioned these were in each room.
We could open the door and spray it on the terrorists.
If it's fast enough to stop them from using their phasers, it'll stop us too.
And they'd get a warning if the door started to open. Time enough to put the hostages in jeopardy.
To chyba będzie gaśnica po prostu. I oni powiedzieli, że nie możemy jej użyć jako broni bezpośrednio.
The gas canister is a bit beat up from the fall, but still functional.
To nie znaczy, że ona jest całkowicie bezużyteczna. Chociaż tutaj nie jest powiedziane, że to jest gaśnica, to jest po prostu kanister z gazem. No nic, przejdziemy się do tego pomieszczenia, to tam możemy iść bezpiecznie.
Security lockdown.
VSSOP 2123,
Incorrect
tak?
access code.
What? No i w tym misji jest coś takiego głupiego, że postać po prostu po każdej akcji musi się wrócić do tego miejsca, w którym stała. Tak więc za każdym razem, jak będziemy przeprowadzać jakąś akcję, to najlepiej po prostu tę postać przesunąć jak najbliżej do celowego miejsca.
No, I don't.
Bo to okiem trzeba.
The note on the paper reads,
VVSOP. VVSOP.
Security.
SOP. No i nie trzeba nawet z dużych liter wprowadzać. Kiepskie hasło. Kiepski system zabezpieczenia zacznie. No i mamy tutaj nowe eksponaty, tak?
written on the plaque, Federation Scientific Probe Model 33119A. The 33119A was powered by a small fusion reactor, since removed. The 33119A had considerable range.
I've used one of these before, Captain. Everyone notices the fusion reactor, but I'll bet they forgot the fuel cell that served as backup power for the instrument package. It's probably as dry as a bone after all these years.
Jakaś bateria? Jakaś bateria.
Time may be a factor, gentlemen. Let's work a bit faster.
I hope we get the terrorists soon, Captain. I'm afraid we might be late if we don't hurry.
Czyżby oni tutaj sugerowali, że ta misja jest na czas?
If I talk, I can't work or think, Captain.
Co to?
The plaque reads, the Dunkelberger Automated Worker Mark 12 was a successful entry in the early days of automated labor. The Mark 12 was designed to function as a cargo helper, allowing small manufacturers to cheaply compete against large corporations.
To jest robot, który ma na imię Barney.
The schematics for a Dunkelberger Automated Worker Mark 12.
A to jest chyba schemat tego robota. Co ciekawe, nie wygląda tak samo na schemacie jak tutaj.
This display is all glistening angles of crystal, written on the plaque, an early example of the crystalline computers developed by the Lantoids of Tuner 9. Supposedly impossible to access by non-Lantoid life forms, the computer works on a combination.
Dobra. O, coś się dzieje.
I don't know how this works, but looking at it reminds me of the time when I was a boy working on my first electronics project. I built one of those old crystal radios. Maybe this computer somehow projects its answers into your mind.
It may be just looking at the crystals made you remember that, Captain.
It's possible. Are you now practicing psychology, Mr. Scott?
Oh no, Captain. I'm just a simple country engineer.
Aczkolwiek to, co powiedział Scott, jest w sumie oczywiste. Dosyć. Tak, tutaj kapitan coś mówi, że można z kryształu zrobić radio. No dobrze. Uznajmy, że można, no nie? Skoro tak mówi, to się raczej nie myli. W takim razie może spróbujemy coś z tym zrobić.
I don't know how this works, but looking at it reminds me of the time when I was a boy working on my first electronics project.
It may be just look.
It's possible.
Oh no, Captain.
Też było. Może powinien na tym czekował rzuć na przykład.
Captain, I've never seen anything like this. I have no idea how this works. It's pretty though.
Ładne, tak? No i każdy musi dorżnąć teraz
There's
swojego
nothing I
chodzonego.
can do, Captain.
Ale to się da na pewno odłamać. O, po prostu trzeba było tej drugiej
It
ręki
probably
użyć.
wouldn't hurt anything to take one crystal. It's just a display after all. This one looks good.
I mamy kryształ.
An unusual piece of crystal.
Wygląda na taki kryształ, który można by wbić komuś w szyję. A to?
This is a bit
A to? O, co się dzieje?
Captain, the panel is wedged in. I can't open it.
Wedged in, czyli zaklinował się, tak? Może ty?
The access panel is stuck, Captain. I don't think any of us are strong enough to pull it free.
Brakuje nam
We
koksu.
can't have it do anything until we get it running.
A co i jak spowodować, że będzie działało?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think that's necessary. Może podnieść?
No,
We can't have it.
Może Czekow? Jeszcze raz, co?
This is a bit...
Nie. A może po prostu użyjemy, a może ten?
I always thought that robotics never reached its full potential, Captain.
The lad's gone daft, Captain. These toys would only get in the way of a real engineer. They
Poważnie.
were not a bad machine, but sort of an evolutionary dead end.
I don't think we've seen the last of compact mobile automation, Mr. Scott.
I cannot agree, Mr. Chekhov. Automated systems technology makes these robots little better than toys.
But perhaps one day...
There are definitely advantages to having an informed and opinionated crew, but this conversation is not showing it.
Przerwał im. No nic, tutaj trzeba zrobić po prostu tak, że używamy tego kondensatora, który jest podobno wyczerpany na tym robocie.
There's only a wee bit of juice in this capacitor, but I think it'll be enough to power up the robot. It's a tight squeeze, Captain. I don't think we'll be able to get it back out once it's in. Should I go ahead and do it?
We could use the help, Mr. Scott. Energize the robot.
Energize.
Not yet, Mr. Scott. We may need that power elsewhere. We could use the help, Mr. Scott. Energize the robot.
Nie no, tego robota trzeba aktywować po prostu. Jej! Jej! Dzień dobry.
You get no response.
Dlaczego? A
I
może to?
should get Mr. Scott to look at this.
Scotty, tak?
The access panel is...
No to może na robocie?
Barney, open the pod bay door.
I to jest oczywiście odniesienie do 2001 Odysei Kosmicznej. Świetnie, mamy cybernetycznego towarzysza podróży. Co teraz możesz pan powiedzieć na temat kabli?
I knew it. They forgot to take out the fuel cell. That fusion reactor always scares people enough that they forget the backup cell. It's dry now. You'd need to wet this beauty down and get a catalyst in her.
Czyli trzeba zmoczyć, jakkolwiek to już brzmi. No dobra, mamy tutaj dwa płyny. Jaka szkoda.
I hate to see a sweet liquid used for something other than tasting, but at least it'll work a fair bit in here.
No i to nie wystarczy, trzeba jeszcze to drugie wlać. Niestety.
Better than brandies? More than stums? Look out, fuel cell, here she comes.
I jeszcze trzeba zamontować tutaj templater chyba.
It's a good
Tak.
thing to build in so much flexibility. The silver isn't a bad catalyst and will act as a contact too.
Katalizator i złączenie. I teraz jeżeli położymy to tu,
All hooked up and charging, Captain.
to się będzie ładować. Zaraz się naładuje. No niestety trzeba odczekać. Znowu. Muzyka trochę się powtarza w tej grze, prawda? Ta muzyka była wcześniej użyta w innych lokacjach, które były bardziej jakby tajemnicze, smętne, dziwne, straszne i tak dalej.
All
I
ready
to
to
też
go,
trzeba.
Captain?
To też trzeba wyjąć.
You remove the silver tray. Save.
Zapiszmy. I wyjdźmy z tego pomieszczenia. I proszę bardzo, robocik podąża za nami. Chociaż jest już raczej niepotrzebny. Przejdziemy się teraz tutaj. I teraz mamy dwie możliwości. Jedną, która daje mniej punktów i drugą, która daje więcej punktów, ale nie zawsze się udaje. Ponieważ trzeba wiedzieć jak po prostu jak rozmawiać. Pierwsza z tych możliwości, ta, która daje mniej punktów, to możemy użyć transportera, aby przeteleportować ten kanister gazowy do tamtego pomieszczenia. I on po prostu sprawi, że ci terroryści zostaną ogłuszeni, tak? A drugi sposób to jest naprawienie tego komunikatora i nawiązanie połączenia. Jednak zanim zajmiemy się komunikatorem, naprawimy ten transport.
It wasn't easy, but the wiring's fixed, Captain.
It's never easy, is it, Mr. Scott?
Aye, Captain.
Dla Scottiego wszystko jest łatwe. I chyba jeszcze tą płytkę trzeba tutaj wstawić.
This should work. I hope.
Okej, i tylko tyle. Zrobimy z tym. Natomiast do tego trzeba użyć kryształ. Jak widać, ta misja jest dosyć
It's been a
prosta.
while, but I think that will work.
Wszystko jest tutaj bardzo logiczne. I plater też, o. Nie wiem, czemu Scotty to musi robić, podczas gdy kapitan wcześniej ten wciskał.
I rigged up an isolated piece of frame in there as one conducting plate and the tray as the other. It's not the best solution, but it's the best I can do here.
I musi dorżnąć chodzonego, tak? Z powrotem na swoje miejsce. No, i teraz jeszcze chyba trzeba ten kondensator tutaj zasadzić, co zaraz zresztą zrobimy. Kto teraz tym razem podejdzie? Tym razem Czekow podejdzie. No tak. Każdy musi być użyteczny w jakiś sposób.
All hooked in, Captain.
Gdzie on to włożył? Fuck. No okej, i teraz można tego użyć w końcu.
Well, let's see how well this works. Kirk to Enterprise. Kirk to Enterprise. Enterprise, come in.
Who is this?
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise.
A kto jest po drugiej
Who
stronie?
are you? Whoever you are, call for help. There are terrorists in the museum.
To nie jest dobra opcja, nie zdradzajmy się tak
This is
szybko.
Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. I'm in the Smithson Museum, where hostages are being held.
To też zdradza naszą pozycję. A najprawdopodobniej po prostu rozmawiamy z terrorystami. Nie można tej opcji
This is
wybrać.
Captain James T.
Well, Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, why don't you take your Enterprise and go away? We don't want any Federation interference.
Who am I talking to? Why don't you and I discuss this? Who am I talking to?
Tutaj tryk polega na tym, że nie można być do nich względem nich zbytnio agresywnym, ani też zbytnio uległym. I generalnie pytania takie są bezpieczniejszą formą
Why don't
wypowiedzi
you and I
niż
discuss this?
coś
Who
takiego.
am I talking to?
My name is Lucas. I'm a member of the Lockean family, Onaken.
Whoever you are, call for help. There are terrorists in the museum.
To
I've
też nie.
never heard of the Onakan family. Whoever you are, I've never heard of the Onakan.
To.
It's no surprise you haven't heard of us, even though we're one of the largest and oldest families on Lockean. Just shows how much the Federation believes the lies the Saransi pass along.
The Saransi are your enemies? I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides. Of course the Federation backs the Saransi. You don't see them taking hostages and setting traps for museum curators, do you?
Nasz drogi terrorysta się chyba obrazi, jak to
The
powiemy.
Saransi are your enemies?
Our bitterest enemies for centuries, and you're backing them.
I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides. Of course the Federation... I find it unlikely that...
Chyba
If
to.
the Federation isn't backing the Saransi, how do you explain a ceremony giving the Saransi the Quelke? Obviously, the Federation believes their lies.
The Kelki. You mean the probe?
It is more than just a probe to us. The Quelke discovered Lockean generations ago. The entire race owes its existence to the Quelke.
I knew it had great significance. I just didn't know there was anyone else involved. This is when the original planet was on the verge of being destroyed? I thought the Saransi ruled your race. Shouldn't they be the ones that controlled the Kelki? I knew it had great significance. I just didn't know there was anyone else involved. This is when the original planet was on the verge of being destroyed? I knew it had great significance. I
Chyba
just...
to.
The Saransi presently have control of the communication facilities. They've been restricting access to make their position seem more powerful.
So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki?
Czyli terroryści tutaj przyszli i zrobili taki bajzel tylko po to, żeby... że jej się nie podobało, że jakaś sonda jest przekazywana komuś. Cóż...
Are they illegally restricting communications or just not listening to a renegade group of terrorists? So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki?
We have as much claim to that probe as anyone.
It sounds like you have a legitimate grievance. Does the Saransi also have a right to the Kelki? Then why is the museum handing the Kelki over? It sounds like you have a legitimate grievance.
Chyba to.
Don't patronize me.
Nie.
You'd say
Fail.
anything just to stop us. Since you'd really rather talk to the Saransi, why not start practicing what you're going to tell them when they find that Quelke has been taken?
Hello? Hello? He seems to have cut communications.
Fiasko. Jeszcze raz.
Well, let's see how Kirk to enter.
Who is this?
This is Captain James T. Kirk.
Well,
Who am I talking to?
my name is...
Whoever you are, call for help. I've never heard.
It's no...
The Saransi are your enemies?
Our bitter...
I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides.
If the Federal...
The Kelki.
It is more...
I knew it had great significance.
The Saransi...
So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki? Are they illegally restricting communication? So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki?
We have as much claim to...
It sounds like you have a legitimate grievance.
No tak, no bo w sumie to jest to jest zła kwestia. Źle, że to wybrałem. To on tutaj tak naprawdę obraża tego
Does
gościa.
the Sarensi also have a right to the Kelki? Then why is the museum handing the Kelki over to the Sarensi?
Może to.
And we can't let you stop us. This is something that has to be dealt with.
This is your last warning. Release the hostages now, or suffer the consequences. Then this situation should be looked into more closely by the Federation. We're here with the best intentions. You want peace? We want peace.
A czemu nie? You want peace. We want peace.
This is your last warning. Then this situation...
Is that an offer?
That's a guarantee. Obviously, I'll have to check. That's a guarantee. Obviously, I'll have to check with my superiors on this, but I'm certain something can be worked out.
Jeżeli to się wybierze, no to na pewno, to znaczy to spowoduje znowu fiasko. Musimy wybrać tą opcję pierwszą, pomimo tego, że tak naprawdę nie wiem, czy kapitan jest tutaj w stanie jakby zapewnić im jakąś gwarancję tego, że nie zostaną jakby, nie wiem, oszukani. Chociaż z drugiej strony reputacja Federacji zawsze jest taka, że oni zawsze wysłuchują wszystkich i postępują sprawiedliwie.
That's a guarantee.
Then we have a deal. We will turn off the security override and give ourselves up. And trust the word of Captain Kirk.
I poddali się. Teraz trafią do więzienia. Po co wycelowali jeszcze?
Mr. Chekhov, have Dr. McCoy beam down to make sure the curator and guards are all right. Mr. Scott, lower the museum's shields and have a security team beamed aboard. Captain's log supplement. The terrorists had already turned off the security override. After putting the 3 Onikons in custody, it was decided that the probe would not be returned to the Saransi. Federation mediators will visit Lakian to assist in the negotiations on the fate of this artifact. The fact that they gave up voluntarily when they could have possibly escaped and injured no one certainly made points for the Onikon's claim. Curator Brezhnev was treated by Dr. McCoy and is in good health. Commendations are in order for Scott and Chekhov for meritorious service. Lieutenant Uhura, send a message to Admiral Richards. Tell him he owes me more than he thinks he does.
Aye, sir. I have a feeling he's not going to be surprised.
I'm afraid I'm going to remember this mission with a great deal of sadness, Captain.
Why is that, Mr. Scott?
It was such a fine cognac, Captain. It was just waiting for us, and now it's gone forever. Such a waste. You always remember the one that got away.
Sure, Scott.
Captain, message incoming from Starfleet.
I see they got our report. On screen.
I have reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.
Pełen sukces. Odlatujemy w siną drogę.
Captain's log, stardate 6169.3. While delivering supplies to outposts near Klingon and Romulan space, we received a distress signal from the Romulan neutral zone.
Ooh.
On screen, Captain.
This is Sub-Commander Guyon of the Warbird Infinitus. We are under attack. Assist us, please.
Transmission jammed at the source, sir. The transmission originated on the Romulan side of the neutral zone.
Captain, this could be a setup. The Romulans might be trying to lure us into a treaty violation.
We can't interfere in Romulan business. Take us to our next mission.
Tak szybko się skończyło? Nie pomogliśmy Romulanom, niestety.
This day is not going well.
Captain, we have an emergency message from Starfleet. Code 1.
That's a planetary catastrophe.
On screen.
Captain, a very large alien ship is about to land on the planet Atibus in the Klingon neutral zone. The aliens stated that they intend to land in the midst of the capital city. Then the ship cut communications with us. Since then, all attempts to contact the alien craft have failed. You are the closest starship to Adipus. We want you to evaluate the situation and safeguard the colonists. We need you to make contact with the aliens.
I od razu dostaliśmy kolejną misję. Ciekawe, że Kirk... Znaczy nie wiem właściwie po co to było. Taka scena z tymi Romulanami. To było zupełnie bezcelowe. Nie wiem czemu to ma służyć.
Our orders are to proceed to the Adibus system.
Dobrze, że przypominasz, to się zawsze przydaje.
Adibus is located in the Klingon neutral zone. The Federation won the colonization rights for that planet as per the Organian peace treaty. Both Federation and Klingon ships are allowed there.
I nie ma tam wojen. Dobra, zaczniemy tę misję w następnym odcinku.